Compliment pulling fragrances. Some love them, some don't. Some care, some don't. Just depends on what side of the fence you're on. This video is for those of you who are prioritizing compliment pulling fragrances. You just want something that actually smells good to people around you. But beyond that, ones that captivate people enough to actually reach out and say something. I'm going to issue my little disclaimer that I like to try to toss in every time I do a video based around compliments. You know, keep your expectations managed, okay? Very rarely will people, complete strangers, come up to you and say, what is it that you're wearing? You smell so good. Not saying that it doesn't happen. It's just not as common as we might be led to believe. However, right, if you have a lot of coworkers, a lot of people who you have at least communicated with once before and they're comfortable and you kind of have that open barrier of conversation where they would be, you know, able to approach you and talk to you without it being weird, that's where generally you see your results from. All right, now let's go ahead and jump into it. It's the first one here with Ferragamo, okay, Womo Casual Life. Why not? Stuff is great. You hear about the original and signature all the time, but what about this one? You know, it's not as common. Same thing with, what's the other one? The blue bottle, Urban Feel. These two just aren't really talked about. It's got violet leaf, musk, ambroxan, lemon, and a bit of coffee in here, kind of tying it back to the original Womo somewhat, but still nowhere as close, not even close to being as sweet as the original Womo. This one is basically fresh from start to finish. That coffee note just gives it a tiny, tiny bit of if you could even call it a sweetness, just a little bit of a texture there, but not too much. Definitely maintains more of a summery, fresh version here. And I do want to also say really quick, this video is heavily focused on warmer times of the year, fresher scents, just because that's kind of where we're at. So I wanted to also throw that in as well. We're really starting to shift, you know, not only my selections of what I wear on a day-to-day basis, but also what I feature on the channel, really kind of moving that in towards, you know, warmer weather leaning scents. This next one is Mansera Cosmic Pepper. In typical Mansera fashion, I had a feeling it was going to be good. Nothing told me that it was going to be a bad release because really, as far as Mansera goes, I haven't smelled too many bad releases from Mansera. I've smelled some that I don't like, but that's mostly just due to my personal preference, and I do believe there's a difference between something being bad and just not liking something, right? Because just because it doesn't really align with what you wear automatically makes it a bad scent. But I digress there. I figured this would be okay, smell nice, but it really surprised me. And what is it about this that I'm so drawn to? Well, I think it's probably because it does remind me a little bit of a couple of my all-time favorite scents. And it's kind of like a mixture between La Nuit de l'Homme and Chanel Allure Homme Sport / Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. And I want to say that I use that comparison there relatively lightly, okay? It's not just combining those two together and now you get Cosmic Pepper. There are other differences as well, but sometimes it's easy to kind of rope in some other scents that you might be familiar with to help describe something and to get the point across. And so the way I come up with that really is you get the peppery spiciness that is in the name of the scent, and it almost just has, even though not listed, a bit of a slight cardamom, peppery, warm spice, okay? That's kind of the La Nuit de l'Homme side of things, along with a nice lavender, and then also a bit of a kind of fresh, creamy, citrusy, creamy combination, kind of tying it more into an Allure Homme Sport. There's a bit of a powdery nature as well, kind of pushing it towards Sport Eau Extreme. That's kind of where I see this one fit. And of course, it still does its own thing. It is still ultimately its own creation, but that's just kind of an easy way to get this one out there and put it into some words that make more sense. If you guys have smelled those scents I was talking about, which a lot of you probably have, that's kind of how I would designate this one. The good thing about this, though, is that it is a niche scent. Normally people are like, well, why is that good? They're expensive. Not this. This is under $100. It is 120 ml, you know, instead of standard 100 or even less. You've got a magnetic cap as well. Nice little small detail there. All around, super solid, great compliment puller. People love it. And I think one of the most important parts that I almost forgot, performance beast. It's an eau de parfum, but trust me, this stuff is strong. Let's go for Aeros Energy up next, of course, by Versace. Guys, do you remember this one last year? It was insane, you know, because they announced it, you know, early on in the summer season. And it was like, great, look at the bottle, it's yellow, look at the notes, it looks summery, of course, even the name is indicative of a summer scent. So we're all excited, yay, we're gonna have an Aeros for summer. And then somehow it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. And we didn't end up actually getting this one until essentially the tail end of summer. Now there still was quite a bit of warm weather, sun, you know, at the end of the year when this one was released. I think it was like, gosh, what was it? End of September, early October. So we were right there, just about out of time. But still, we did have a bit of a chance to really get this one on and wear it. And another one that just turned out to be really good. Now, I wasn't sure what to expect, and this one did kind of get some comparisons to Creed Aventus, and I can see that, although it is still very different as well. What's different? Well, when you look at the notes, it is fruits and citrus all the way. Sour, punchy fruits, lemon, bergamot, lime. I'm sure there's a blackcurrant in here. Grapefruit, just everything, you know, but especially lemon. This is a lemon bomb, and you don't have to be a quote-unquote expert to be able to decipher that this has lemon. Like, it is so prominent that you cannot miss it. And so that surprised me because, of course, I saw lemon in the note breakdown. I saw all those notes, but man, they really focused on that one in particular. Punchy, strong lemon lime. It's sour. It's a head turner, but it smells great. And talk about an amazing summer scent. In typical Aeros fashion, it's another great compliment puller. And while it does have some similarities to Aventus, it still, again, does its own thing, like what I just said there. Aventus doesn't have all of that stuff. You know, it's got some apple and pineapple and bergamot and stuff, but not to this level. And also that comparison to Aventus, that particular part of this is what gives it that compliment pulling ability to where it's a big mass pleaser. It's on discounters already, has been for a while actually. I think it hit last year even, 80 bucks or so for 100 ml. Reasonable. And the price will continue to drop as well. Next up, we're gonna go with Diesel Bad Intense. Is anybody up for some caviar? Because I'm pretty sure they list that in here. Either that or the original Diesel Bad. I'm not 100% sure. And I'll just, you know, I'm joking around because I've never smelled caviar and probably never will. And that's just kind of that's a weird sounding one. You know, do you want to smell like caviar? Maybe those of you who have tried it would say yes or no, but I'm kind of leaning towards, I don't know if I would. However, I do want to smell like Diesel Bad Intense because I really like this stuff. Now, aside from the kind of odd note selection there, this has a lot of nutmeg, warm, spicy, very woody as well. I don't know if they designate for sure what type of woodiness that you get. It's kind of a sandalwood and cedarwood combination to me. So a little bit smooth, a little bit kind of spicy texture as well. Again, to you know, double down on a lot of nutmeg off the top. This is one that, and generally these diesel scents, they're not really liked all that much. People kind of hate on them, toss them aside. I've been a big fan of Diesel Bad for years. Actually, the first time I smelled Diesel Bad, the original, believe it or not, was in a magazine. You know, when you get those things where you lift up the flap and you could smell it. And that's never a good way to go about it because magazine paper always has that smell to it. So you're always smelling some of that. And it's not 100% accurate, but it was enough to where I'm like, you know, I might try that. Ended up trying a full bottle and liked it. Got Diesel Bad Intense, also liked it. Diesel Bad, the original, is fresher and it has almost more of like an Invictus Aqua type of smell, just a little bit, and that's the thing that piqued my interest. This one doesn't at all. This one's quite a bit different, more sweet, more spicy. This one actually is gonna be probably the more sweet, spicy scent in this video. Not quite as summery, although could work in a summer evening if you wanted to. It just kind of depends. Hate on it all you want, you know, and even maybe the name and the bottle is tacky enough to annoy you and make you not want to buy it. But as far as smell and as far as compliment factor goes, it simply works and there's no other way to put it. All right, this next one is going to be surprising. It's crazy. It's getting featured in a video in 2025 and it was released in 2000, was it 15 or so? The original Dior Savage Eau de Toilette. Man, this feels weird. I don't think I've featured Savage Eau de Toilette in years, really. I mean, used to feature it all the time back when it was all we had. Now we've got the EDP, Parfoam, Elixir, and Eau Forte, which I don't really feature that either, but the Eau de Toilette, it just works still, okay? That's it. It still works. It's not gonna be the choice you wanna go for if you wanna smell unique and stand out. I personally believe that we do have some options in here for that. Cosmic Pepper, I think, would be a great one. Aeros Energy, it's new and it's still different from others to where that would be a nice option to stand out as well. We've got more yet to come that would be great options. So don't buy this with the expectation of smelling unique, okay? But if you want essentially a foolproof, no-brainer scent that just simply smells amazing to basically everybody and performs really good, it's Savage EDT. There's haters galore for this stuff, but they probably clicked off already anyway because they don't like compliment pulling fragrance videos. So if you're here, you guys know Savage EDT, it does still work really well. Okay, let's go for Toomey 19 Degree up next, all right? This is new as in the past couple of years. It is a discovery of mine that has never let me down yet. What I mean by that is there hasn't been a point where I've gone, oh, you know, maybe I shouldn't have bought that at full retail, $175. I've never thought that once. Because yes, I did buy this at full retail because it had just come out, was just launched. And I was basically going after the fact that it was an extrait concentration, which you guys know I love my pure parfums. I was heavily going off of the note breakdown because of the raspberry leather combination going on here, which I'll talk about in a second. And admittedly, the bottle looked cool. Okay, so all that stuff kind of came together and I'm like, I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it. I'm super glad I did. I already mentioned it, but that raspberry leather, it smells wonderful. I mean, this stuff is great. Now, this is also one that gets compared to Aventus. Now, this one's a little bit more of a stretch. Do I see where people are coming from? Yes. But do I think it smells a lot like Aventus? No. There might be a bit of a similarity, I guess just because of the fruity mixed with the leather and some woods, but they're still very different. You don't get as much leather in Aventus. You don't get any raspberry at all in Aventus. And those two notes here are what make this one stand out from basically everything else out there. And there's a few fragrances that use raspberry for men, but not very many. And this is one that uses it to a high level to where you can really pick up on it. And it smells great. I already mentioned extrait concentration. It is a strong performer, long laster, great projector, and of course a great compliment pull. All right, let's go for a favorite of mine. Of course, it's Aqua Dehjo Parfum. You know, if there's anything in this video that has been tested ruthlessly by me, but Aqua Dehjo Parfum is one. Because of course, I feel like I have to say this every time, but it's, you know, I just will anyway to avoid confusion. Aqua Dehjo Profumo, right? I've been wearing that since I first started, years and years, and it's always worked for me, always worked really well. It's always performed great, been great for any time of the year, but I especially liked it in summer. And then of course, this is just Aqua Dehjo Profumo rebranded into the Parfum. Still a great performer, still a very wearable scent, still an amazing compliment getter. It is a smoky take on the Aqua Dehjo DNA, which smoky aquatics aren't all that common, but they did it right with this stuff. It is a work of art, smells amazing, you know, not horribly priced on discounters. Retail's a bit of a different story, but on discounters, typically low $100 range for either the 100 or even the 125 ml. They've kind of got a weird in between where they had both for a while. I digress, it's worth picking up. Okay, also one that I have worn heavily over the years, Rochas Alisium Parfum Cologne. This poor bottle has seen it all. I actually dropped it down here the other day on concrete and it did not break or shatter. It just kind of bruised it up there, but it's also scratched up because I use it as my travel bottle. It's about empty. Another fruity citrus with a lot of vetiver. So lemon, blackcurrant, bergamot, grapefruit, all of that stuff, a whole bunch of them. And then a lot of vetiver. The vetiver is what makes this one stand out. People compare it to Bleu de Chanel. People compare it to blue fragrances. It's still different. Is it in that category? Absolutely, but it's still different smelling. It is Alisium. And there are clones of Alisium, of course, that you could go for if you don't want to spend $200. So that's an option as well. Keep in mind, it's $200 for 100 ml, and actually sometimes a bit less than $200. I've seen it into the 170, 175, 180 range. So price on this one has dropped pretty dramatically compared to a few years ago even, but needs no introduction further. It is a complement pulling beast that just works really well. Okay, this second to last one here is, it's not exciting at all, but it's another one that just works. You know, it's kind of like you get in your vehicle, you turn the key and it starts up and you go, right? It works. That's kind of what this is. It's Molecule 01, and this is Isoe Super. So you guys know these molecule fragrances, they focus on one compound. Molecule 2 is ambroxan, which also would work, and I also really like it. But when you smell this, when you spray it, I should say, sometimes it can be hard to smell. Maybe it's just me, maybe I don't pick up on the note as well as other people do, but don't expect it to be just like all at once, like, oh yes, I can, you know, it's interesting because I can smell that something's there, but you know, it's not overwhelmingly strong. And the best thing to do would be to actually put it on skin, of course, but just keep in mind, if you feel as though it's not working, like in terms of you can't smell it, it's there, and I'm sure other people could smell it if you ask them. It's just you sometimes can't register it as well. I think it kind of works better in the air from a bit of a distance, kind of getting that scent trail. That's when it really works. This also works great to layer with other scents as well to give them a bit of a boost. Okay, we're gonna finish this video off with Creed Aventus Cologne. You guys know I've said from the beginning Creed Aventus is a great summer scent, and it is, in my opinion. It is the time of year to wear Creed Aventus, summer that is, although I do wear it all year round. But yet, so is Aventus Cologne. Aventus Cologne is also, in my opinion, best for summer wear. So kind of just take your pick, you know, rotate between the two. You can tell I have not worn this as much as I have regular Aventus, okay? But I still have spent quite a bit of time with it, and also samples as well from back in the day. So, you know, I've worn it a good amount, and I just know that it's something that works because it's Creed Aventus, but with a bit of an orange creaminess. You don't get any orange in the regular, you do in this one, and people have kind of compared this to like a Chanel Allure Homme Sport Versace Pour Homme combination of Creed Aventus, which is a good way to put it, and it's something that I do agree with to some extent. It does kind of have that going on. It's just another no-brainer compliment puller. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. It's a fantastic scent that just work well that everybody's going to like the smell of. I'll link them all down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.